Hi, and welcome to the video walkthrough of Love Without Limits. We're so glad you've decided to join us on this journey.
Yes, a very warm welcome. We're Grant and Christine Watty, and we're absolutely passionate about sharing how our book, Love Without Limits, can truly transform your relationship.
So, this isn't just another relationship guide, it's the results of years of experience building on the success of our $1 Million Marriage Program, launched in 2018, and working with thousands of couples. So, the book captures all we've learned from both our own experience as a couple and from our personal mentoring, helping individuals and couples to save and strengthen their relationships.
Yes, and look, this is our life's mission to help couples experience love without limits. We created this book because we recognize there's only so many couples that we can work with at any one time. And we really want to leverage the impact that is possible and reach many more people around the world with our transformational methods, which are simple, they're not always easy to implement.
Exactly. And while we firmly believe that working with a mentor like us can accelerate your progress, we've packed this book with everything you need to transform your relationship if you're truly committed.
So, who's this book for? This book is designed for people who are ready to take action and resourceful. It's for you if you're willing to take 100% responsibility for your part in the relationship and lead yourself first.
Yeah, so if you resonate with that, then you're in the right place and you're likely to get the results we promise in the book. So you might be newlywed, you might have been together for decades, like us, raising kids, we've done that, grandkids, running a business, enjoying retirement. We're not retired yet. And this deep, authentic connection is available to you.
Yes, and this is definitely not just about mastering communication techniques or managing conflict. It's about tapping into something far more powerful, which all starts with you. And remember, personal mentoring can help you to get there faster and uncover any blind spots or roadblocks that are hardest to see when you're on your own.
So whether you're straight, you're gay, you're non-binary, you're in your first relationship or your fourth marriage, this book can help as long as you're both open and committed to positive change.
And if you're wondering about how this book came about, our writing journey is something like this. When we set out to write the book, we wanted to capture the authentic experience working with couples. So, Grant, you tell us.
I went for some long walks and recorded my exact process from start to finish, just thinking about how I would work with a couple in the process that made a difference for couples that we were able to go from good to great in their relationship.
Yeah, like real couples on the ground.
Yeah.
And look, and then when Grant shared his insights with me, we discovered that both of our processes were surprisingly similar. So taking his insights and adding a few of my own, I then put on my leadership facilitator and adult education hats and took on the task of transforming the content to make it as clear and easy to understand as possible, and also to make sure it could be applied in any relationship.
Yeah. So this process really highlights how we leverage our individual strengths to create something better than either of us could have done alone. And that's one of the first principles we want to share. Start with your strengths and make the most of them.
For sure. And this isn't just theory. This is our own relationship journey over more than 40 years that has inspired us to develop what we call now the Aroha Rapid Transformation Model. We know what it's like to struggle. We also know what it's like to succeed. And we know that we can help you wherever you're at. We also understand, and this was our experience, that traditional advice often falls very short when any relationship is in crisis.
Yeah, so let's have a look at our core framework, which is lead, love, and live. And these are three distinct stages. So our Love Without Limits book is unique in three key ways. Firstly, we focus on who you're being in your relationship, not just on what you're doing. We integrate leadership principles, empowering you to lead positive change in your partnership. And we're future focused, not just dwelling on the past and the problems. So that can guide you in co-creating a compelling shared vision rather than dwelling on past hurts.
For sure. And look, at the heart of our Love Without Limits book is, as I said earlier, the Ara Heart Rapid Transformation Method. And Grant, as he shared, this is based on 3 pillars: lead, love, and live without limits. It's first about leading yourself, then about loving wholeheartedly, and then living life full of connection. And our 9 principles are integrated into these 3 pillars, and we'll show you how they all work together to create lasting love.
So what we're doing is integrating cutting-edge relationship science, leadership principles, and timeless wisdom and real relationship experience that we've had in our own 40-year marriage and working in business and in life and raising children and grandchildren to create a revolutionary framework for lasting love.
And some great news is that, unlike traditional methods that can take years, our model is designed to create significant shifts in as little as 90 days.
Yeah, so we just do an overview of the 9 principles then.
Great.
Yeah, so the book is structured into 2 parts. Part 1 is fast start your relationship transformation, and part 2 is about diving deeper. So we encourage you to focus on the foundational principles in part 1 to get some fast action moving before going on to part 2. And this ensures you've got solid ground to build on. And so part 1 is mainly about leading yourself.
Yeah, so we'll take a little deep dive. I don't know if that makes sense, but we'll look at the 9 core principles that are interwoven in our book. So we start with principle number 1, which is taking 100% responsibility. And this is about recognizing that you have the power to completely transform your relationship by focusing what is in your control instead of waiting for your partner to change. And one question to get you started is what we call the above the line, below the line model. And are you operating above the line or below the line?
Yeah, so taking 100% responsibility is not about blaming yourself or blaming anyone else. It's about empowering yourself. It's about shifting from a spectator to a player mindset. So you're not just observing what's going on, you're actually actively working on creating positive changes, focusing on what you can do right instead of obsessing over what your partner is doing wrong. It's about acting, not reacting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, acting and responding intentionally rather than the unconscious reaction, which it can be a game changer, can't it?
Oh, yeah, it makes all the difference.
And look, that takes us to principle number 2, which is building your relationship bank account. And this principle really focuses on creating a positive balance in your relationship through daily deposits of things like kindness, appreciation, and loving kind actions so that they far outweigh any withdrawals that might occur.
Yeah, so if you think about the relationship bank account, just like a regular bank account, every interaction either adds or subtracts from your relationship balance. And obviously we need to create a positive balance through small actions. And think of it as a savings account that you want to keep in the black by focusing on the positive.
Yeah, and look, what has been found in research is that healthy relationships will have something like 20 to 1 positives to every 1 withdrawal. You might be thinking, why is that? It's really a survival fight-flight instinct, that the positives tend to be more like Teflon and slip off, whereas the negative stick like Velcro. So we're looking for something like 20 to 1 positives to every 20 positives to every 1 withdrawal. And even in conflict, healthy relationships will still maintain around 5 to 1, 5 positives to every 1.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I said to Chris, you got nice hair, lipstick. I like your shirt, but I don't like your shoes. Well, what are you going to remember?
Exactly. And it's just like that in every aspect in a relationship, isn't it? All different aspects. What you say and how you show up really does make a difference. So,
yeah, gratitudes and appreciation and just those kind words, which make all the difference. So breaking the tiger turtle pattern is about recognizing and interrupting reactive cycles where one partner tends to pursue like the tiger while the other one withdraws and goes into the shell. And so to break this pattern, we give you the stop technique, which is to help manage conflict.
Yeah, and it's just like many of our principles, we use something, the KISS principle, which is keep it short and simple. So we like to make everything as short and simple as we can. So STOP is simply, the acronym for the first one is stop, just simply stop. The T is take 3 deep breaths. The O, observe what's happening. What are the physical sensations that are going through your body? So I was working with someone this morning and he said he felt a lot of tension. So observe that. What is that saying? And then the P is proceed with kindness and compassion. So such a simple tool. And it is your circuit breaker for conflict and reactive responses. And this will allow you to choose love rather than always needing to be right. And it's a really practical way of prioritizing both yourself. When you proceed with kindness, it might be that you need to take some time out, and your partner in the relationship. And the great news here is it does only take one person to start to change this dynamic, even if it's been going on for years.
Yeah, so practically, if you discuss this with your partner, you agree on a stop sign when either of you are frustrated or triggered, and agree it could be a hand raise, could be a word like stop or pause, or one couple use bananas, whatever word, it doesn't really matter as long as you agree on it. And it's got to be an absolute, what's the word for it? Something that you both agree to do, because when you stop the negative interactions then immediately you're not going backwards. It's like a normal bank account. You're not bleeding money. You're just staying neutral, sure, but then you can work on the positives in your relationship bank account.
Yeah, really powerful. And also, while it is simple, it's not always easy. If you are like I tend to be some of the time that I want to make it right, I want to make it right now. And I've learned that I need to stop. I need to give Grant space. I need to give myself space before we can engage positively in any real communication.
Yeah, so it's like in this pattern, the tiger's got to take their claws in, and then the turtle's got to come out of the shell and come forward. But before you do that, like the traffic light, you're going from orange and red, you're stopping, so you come back down to green again before you move forward again.
Nice. Yeah, we explain all about that in the book. This is just a brief walkthrough of the principles. And that takes us to principle number 4, which is integrity. And in this principle, we explore how to build and maintain trust by honoring our word, keeping our agreements, and communicating change promptly, allowing you both to feel safe and secure with each other. And the thing about integrity, at its core, it's a relational concept. It is not, as we define it, a moral concept. We, in fact, take the word integrity from its Latin root word, which is integer, meaning whole and complete. And when our word is whole and complete, we do what we say we'll do. And as we said earlier, when that changes, when our word changes, we communicate those changes promptly and we make up for the mess. What's a practical example of that, Grant? That if I'm going to be late, I'm going to let you know ahead of time as soon as I realise. I'm not going to wait till 1 minute before Grant's expecting me back. As soon as I realise, I send him a text, give him a quick call, let him know that I'm going to be late and I'd said I'd cook dinner, so would he be okay if I picked up a takeaway? So that is making up the mess.
Yeah. It's helpful to think of it like a window. Integrity means it has structural integrity. So like a window, it has structural integrity. It works when it's a window, right? But as soon as you break it, it's lost its integrity. It doesn't work anymore. And so you've got to fix it. Relationships are like that. When you have differences in expectations, there's no integrity and you're not on the same page. So when you make requests and get agreements, then you're creating your integrity of, yes, I'll be home at 6:00 or whatever the agreement is. And then as soon as life happens, so you break it looks like integrity is going to be broken. So you fix it. You ring up and let your partner know, or make up for whatever. I promised to mow the lawns, but I didn't do it. So I'm going to make up for that and do it as soon as I can.
And the great thing about integrity is when you get integrity with your word in your relationship, and that can ripple into all areas of your life and have massive impacts on performance, say in the workplace. So there has been research done that would suggest that when everybody in the workplace keeps their word, does what they say on time and as promised, or communicates that it's changed and makes up for the mess, have a think about what the impact on performance might be. Some research suggests it's not just a minimal impact, it's as high as 100%, even 500% impact on performance. So integrity really does matter. It matters not only in the workplace, it actually especially matters in our relationships, and it makes a massive difference when we agree to be in integrity.
Yeah, we could spend 2 hours just on this, or a whole day on this distinction alone, but it is the core foundation of a great relationship.
Yeah, and there's plenty. This video work through is just like the skeleton or the framework for what is in the book. So as you read through the book, you'll have some practical exercises and actions and examples of how you can apply this in your relationship.
Yeah. So the next principle is being the best me and the best us. So this principle focuses on becoming the best version of yourself and how that then impacts your relationship. So it's about taking responsibility for your thoughts and actions and showing up in a way that brings out the best in your relationship, as opposed to reacting. And I know what the worst version of me is, right? And I'm sure Christine knows as well. In the old days, I could be very defensive and maybe a little bit negative or reactive. And what about me, or poor me, or you're not listening to me, you don't really understand me. And then I get into that way, which is hard then for Christine to come out and be kind and compassionate, and for us to work together to build a great relationship, just putting a massive roadblock in. But if I can deal with that and take responsibility for my own emotion upset and differences in expectations and thoughts that trigger me, or just feeling grumpy or moody, which happens, right? Life happens. We're not saying that you're not going to get triggered, but it's about what I do with these triggers. And if I could just stop and breathe and walk away and then come back committed to showing up as the best me by letting things go, then that's going to work better.
Yeah, and in the book, we give you some practical exercises to actually have access to who is the best me. Most of us do know when we're not being our best self, and yet often that's unconscious. We bring it into the conscious and look specifically at who I'm being. So Grant mentioned before, he could be defensive, he could be reactive. So we put together an emotion and an action, and that would be a defensive reactor. As he said, that definitely was not the best of him. And the flip side of that is that, and this is what we all want for ourselves and for our partners, and we start by leading ourselves, is Grant can be the most inspiring creator. That is an example of a best me, being inspiring and creating. You can hear the positive. So that is what we're looking. We all have lots of roles that we can play, and we bring this into our conscious awareness, so that instead of just being reactive, we're actually being intentional and responsive, and using the milliseconds that we have available to actually switch ourselves from that red in the traffic light, from that victim in the below the line. And you can see how these different principles work together to choosing to be the inspiring creator.
Yeah.
And of course, when Grant's the inspiring creator, it's way more likely for me to show up as another positive role. And that's the magic of a lot of people ask us, can I do this alone? Does my partner need to be with me? Absolutely, you can do it on your own. And this is an example of how you're showing up as the best you will actually encourage your partner also to be the best us. Yes, you can. And we encourage you, if you're both even remotely interested, to give yourself 100% the best chance. And if at all possible, to engage
Yes.
together. Is that right, Grant?
Oh, that's absolutely right. And I often get asked the question, why should I bother to become the best version of me if my partner's already left or they're thinking about leaving, or if we don't even end up saving our marriage? Because, and the answer is really simple. And this is at the heart of what we do, that the outcome is if you can become the best version of you, it's not only going to impact your current relationship or have a greater chance of doing that to create the relationship that you really want. It's if things didn't work out, and we're not suggesting that's going to be the case, but if it didn't work out, then this is what you carry forward into your next relationship. Because often couples come to us after, oh, we'd been divorced before or for the second or third time. So maybe it is me. And then when you're doing this work on yourself, it means that you end up having a better life. And this work goes very deep, and in its essence, we're just brushing over it again here, but it goes right back to the core of your identity and how your identity gets formed in the early days, and how you create all these subconscious patterns and beliefs about yourself that I'm not okay and not good enough. And if you think about a sports psychology, if you're playing for the All Blacks or the Silver Ferns, you've got to show up as the best of you, even if you've got this voice in your head that there's something wrong or you're not good enough or you drop the ball. You've got to be able to deal with that. And so that's what we're doing here.
Thanks, Grant. So look, those first 5 principles that we've just covered form the first part 1 of the book. And now we're moving into part 2, which goes a little deeper. And we really strongly suggest that you actually focus on part 1 when you first start working on your relationship, because you'll get some quick wins. You'll have some really simple strategies that will support you as you move into the second the 4 principles in the second half of the book. And principle number 6 is creating a shared vision. And in this principle, we look at how to align your individual goals and tap into the collective potential that comes when 2 people truly connect, co-creating a compelling future together. And it challenges you to think beyond your individual desires and to imagine what you can build together. For Grant and I, it's both of us, as we've shared earlier, we have individual strengths, and working together on this mission of ours to actually transform relationships, we're far better together, aren't we, as we work together, than we could ever be on our own.
Yeah, so 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 or 3. It's exponential. And because I might have some ideas and Chris can contribute and refine it, and then we come up with something even better when we're working together. And even producing this video is a great example. I can come up with the original idea or script, like with this video or with the book, and then Chris will come in and edit it and look at all the detail and use her skill and expertise in writing adult education, leadership materials and programs. And so we come up with something that's much better.
Yeah. And
every couple's like that. You're not the same. You're attracted because you're different. And
complementary.
But though that becomes like the 2 porcupines. You're wanting to be close, but you end up pricking each other. So when you get the pricking out of the way, and then you're just focusing on being close and intimate and connected and building on friendship and values, becomes a real game changer.
And so this is what this shift's all about. It's about aligning. It's not just about aligning your goals. It's about dreaming big together and co-creating a future that inspires you both. You're just using ourselves again. This is not like work to us. This is inspiring to us to see relationships transform and the ripple effect that has on the children and the family and the community and their business and the world. It's just inspiring. And that's what we want for you too. So when you're clear on the future that you both want, which will be your unique gift to the world, then you're far more likely to get there together. And this is what the shared vision is all about.
Yeah, right. Awesome. So where are we at now? Crossing the bridge from me to we, because a relationship is a we, right? You've got these 2 me's, and it's like John Gray wrote his book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Every human being in the world is like in their own little planet. everyone has a different way of seeing the world and different expectations and different family backgrounds. So this is about shifting from my way of seeing the world to seeing it through my partner's eyes especially when she's speaking, so we can create a stronger sense of partnership. So it's about being open and honest and crossing the bridge from my world and just letting go of the way I see things, listening to try and interpret, letting go of all that and just going over into Christine's world and truly listening to what she's saying and checking in. Am I hearing you right? Am I getting it? And letting go of my own needs to fix the problem, or why don't we do this, or why don't we do that? Well, that's not actually listening.
Yeah. And with our work, you might be wondering, listening, crossing the bridge from me to we, that sounds really simple. And yes, listening in its essence is simple. And yet time and time again, we see that one of the key things that really keeps couples stuck is not truly listening. It's not truly crossing that bridge and really putting yourself in your partner's shoes. So when you listen from that perspective, really listening without trying to formulate those ideas in your head, without trying to, if you knew my perspective, you'd think differently. Without doing that, with really listening, that is the space where you can create miracles together. And that's what we want for you.
Yeah, so the next principle, emotional freedom through letting go and forgiveness. And here we explore how to release these past hurts and resentments to love wholeheartedly. So it's not about condoning or excusing hurtful behavior, rather a bit about reclaiming your own power by really listening to the triggers, the thoughts, because we're not our thoughts and we're not our emotions. And if I could let go of a thought that, oh, she should be doing this or she should be doing that, or yeah, but she did that to hurt me, or all those silly little thoughts and emotions. And through this process of letting go and forgiveness, then that is an absolute game changer, because then you're free. You're free to decide to choose to be your best self.
Yeah. And look, this principle, which is our 8th principle, is in fact the last principle that we've added to the 9 principles, and probably the deepest principle as well. So while, again, it might sound really easy, it's quite an advanced principle. And when I'm talking about forgiveness, I actually often refer to Edith Eger, who 90-something-year-old Holocaust survivor, who wrote a book called The Choice. And in that book, she talks about forgiveness is the gift I give myself. So you can imagine that when you forgive, yes, we're forgiving the other, and through not holding on to those hurts and resentments, we're actually giving ourselves a gift. We're actually allowing ourselves to be free and open and fully alive, which is what we want to bring as our best me into the relationship.
Yeah. So there's a real subtle twist on this, because forgiveness is not about me forgiving the other person for what they've done to me. That's playing the victim and still being angry and resentful and bitter. But then it's like I'm drinking the poison, hoping out someone else is going to suffer. That's why it becomes a gift I give myself, because if I can let that go and say it's my life and I'm in it and I get to choose my response in any given moment, as Viktor Frankl said, in any moment there's a space, and in that space we get to choose our response. And so if I can breathe and let go any thought or hurtful emotion and then calm myself and soothe myself, then I can choose, no, I'm not going to let this impact me, what they said or what they did. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably a good place to just pop in here that if there is abuse or addiction occurring in the relationship, we're definitely not talking about condoning that kind of behavior. In fact, we strongly suggest that you get your own specific support for those kinds of issues. Where in this context, we're not looking at those kinds of issues, although we can help you with those. These 9 principles are focused in this context.
Yeah, because forgiveness doesn't mean that you're not going to put in healthy boundaries around putting yourself in very unsafe situations. Also, look, I forgive you for physical violence. That's not it. It's you've still got to be wise and put in boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to live like that. It's a gift that you give yourself. And we go into this in a lot more detail in the book. And then hopefully you can get what we're on about with forgiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
So that takes us to our ninth and final principle, which is nurturing intimacy and connection. And look, lots and lots of couples who come to us, they're keen to start with this principle first. And we usually don't recommend this approach because what we do find is that then you're dealing with the symptoms. We want to get to the root cause. And what we find is that once you've got the other principles already in play, that creating intimacy that's deeply satisfying, having a lovely sexual and great connection is way, way easier when you've got all the other principles already in action. So in this principle, we focus on building deep emotional, spiritual, physical intimacy through some daily connection practices. And we define intimacy as into me, see, where there's a vulnerability about that. And we reframe sex as everything positive in your relationship. And it's amazing when you keep making those little positive deposits and you're building up that relationship bank account and you're being the player, contributing, responding in your relationship, then it's amazing how the other elements that might have been missing for quite some time in your relationships, as they can quite quickly become part of your daily experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not rocket science. It's sowing and reaping. If you sow love and you sow kindness, then you're going to reap love and kindness. If you sow resentment or bitterness or angry actions, or you're just not connecting, you're not giving, you're not paying attention to your partner, then how can you expect to have a great a lot of intimacy and connection in your life? It's just not going to work. It just doesn't work that way. It's very hard to love somebody who's highly reactive, but when you're showing up as the best version of you, of course, everyone wants to be around that. That's why you got together in the first place, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's the 9 principles that we've walked through to this point. And as you can see, and we've already mentioned, that each principle does build on the others. And that what that does is it creates a really solid foundation for lasting love. And when you practice these principles together, they start to create this powerful synergy that really can and does transform relationships. And remember, the thing about these principles is that they're universal. They work across cultures, across ages, across relationship stages. They're principles because, like gravity, they work. They just work, don't they?
You can't argue with a principle, but you can argue about who's right and who's wrong, and that's why that doesn't work. But a principle like integrity, or as I said, sowing and reaping, gravity, they are timeless.
So you were going to share a quick
What is a simple water? How would you like to start?
Yeah, great. When we thought about sharing a client story, look, there's just literally thousands that we could share. However, there's one story that really warms my heart, and this is the story of Naomi and Joe. And just so you know, we don't use people's real names here, although we do, or identifying details, because this is out of respect for the awesome people that we work with. Naomi and Joe, an awesome couple. Actually, Joe came to see me first, didn't he?
Yeah. So they came to us on the brink of divorce. And what had happened was there was an affair. Their relationship was broken by an affair. Trust was gone. And they'd been to see another relationship professional who had actually advised them to separate and said to Naomi, leave him, don't.
Yeah.
So then Joe came to me first and he said, well, I just want support because our relationship's over. And I said, hang on a minute. It doesn't have to be over. And he said, what do you mean? And so then we started to work on Joe, first of all, working through these principles we've talked about. And the first one was he was going to take 100% responsibility for his part in the relationship and to be his best self, because that's really who he wanted to be anyway. And he wanted to find a way back into Naomi's heart and keep his young family together. And by doing this and taking that approach, over time, this created enough momentum that Naomi said, yeah, I can see the changes. They're not just empty words. And that is the key. She could see the changes in him. And so she wanted then to recommit to working on their relationship.
Yeah, it was amazing. So when I first met Naomi and Joe, it was together. So Grant worked with Joe first, then Naomi and Joe. They started working with me actually for quite a remarkably short time. I think it was as little as 90 days, I think. The reason that they got such rapid results is that they did actually apply all the different principles that we've talked through. They were really committed to it. And when they looked at their shared vision, it was really about family first and how were they going to create that. They used the STOP technique. That was a core pivotal technique that they used. They really committed to building their relationship bank account through lots of daily practices like appreciations and making clear requests instead of those criticisms. And they just chose to let go of the past.
Yeah, so within weeks, they went from barely speaking to each other to truly rediscovering their love for each other. And today they're stronger than ever, and which demonstrates how this rapid transformation is possible when couples fully commit to these principles. Because if they hadn't have done that work, their relationship was over.
Yeah, so wherever you're at, whether if there's an affair or other difficult challenges that you're facing, if Naomi and Joe can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, so let's have a look at how the book is structured and different support options that we have. So the book is very practical. It includes exercises, real-world examples, and action steps at the end of each chapter. And these are designed to help you immediately apply what you've learned in your own relationship. It's designed to be lived, not just read. And so we recommend, especially the first 4 or 5 chapters is key to really start to apply those principles first.
Yeah, and look, while this book is really comprehensive, we've put everything into it that we really thought would help you. We know that some people, and this might be you, will benefit from additional support through personal mentoring. And so know that we're here to help you, and that will help you to avoid common pitfalls and to fast track your progress. So if you think this might be of value to you, then please do feel free to schedule a chat with either Grant or myself.
Yeah. Yeah, the book has got everything in it, and we can help you work out a game plan to get to where you want to get to a lot quicker, especially if you feel that the relationship's over. If one partner's checked out, then you are going to need additional support and helping to navigate where you are so you can take the right actions and adopt the right skills and strategies to save and strengthen your marriage. Yeah, so to help you get started, we've got a range of options. We do have a free online community where there's free resources that we add to all the time. We highly recommend that you watch our free masterclass, which is the 5 secrets to save your marriage. And then that goes through these principles and how to apply them. You might find value in that. I'm sure thousands of couples have already watched that and found that really valuable. Of course, start reading and implementing the book right away. This is all of our work that Christina and I have done in the last 20 years. And this is up to date with what works with the couples that we work with.
Yeah, and as Grant said earlier, reach out and schedule an initial consultation if you feel like you might be someone who would benefit from some guidance, some expert guidance, and or if you want to fast track your journey.
Yeah. Someone just asked me the other day, what's the difference between Love Without Limits and $1 Million Marriage? Are they the same books? Love Without Limits is our latest book, and $1 Million Marriage is the program that we put together in 2018. It's our flagship program, which includes personal mentoring, videos, worksheets, and all the material that you have in the book to take your relationship from, save your relationship, then take it from good to great.
Yeah, great. Hey, and just in closing, thank you so much for purchasing our book, Love Without Limits, and for taking the time to watch this video walkthrough. We truly honour your commitment to working on your relationship.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye for now.